and welcome to my home practice tutorial number 7. So in this tutorial we are going to build on where we've come up to so far. So if you haven't gone through them, I would suggest you go onto my website www.yogaru.ie and download the home practice mini flows, which is in the How to Build a Home Practice article, which is what we've been working through in these tutorials. So in the previous tutorials, I've gone through each of the little mini home flows and navigated you through them. I've also taught you through Sun Salutations, and we're starting now to work out how to build your own practice tailored to your needs. So really, essentially what I hope to do is to hand the reins over to you so that you can flow easily and comfortably in your own practice and tailor to your needs and really own your own practice. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to, if you have this handy, it'll be great, because it's got the Sun C, so the Sun Salutation C, or the classic Sun Salutation across the top there. So gradually easing you towards a bit more of a free flow without having to have things around you. What I'm going to show you today is how to build a very simple practice using the Sun Salutation and then just simply standing flows. So just adding 1 or 2 standing flows and then finishing off your Sun Salutation, getting up to the top of the mat and starting a Sun Salutation again and doing 1 or 2 more standing flows. What I again, like with my previous tutorials, I suggest that you use the same kind of warm-up there with the cat-cows and the puppy dog pose and the same cool down at the end of this practice, just to keep it simple. Now if you're at the point where you're quite happy to start playing around with that, or if you go back to my warm-up tutorial, you can see 2 different ways to warm up, from stand-up position and from seated position, or stand, seated, 3 different ways, and from lying down. And lying down is the way I mostly start my practice, but I do morning practices, so it's nice to just feel a general or a gradual kind of rise from lying down position in the morning practice in particular. It might feel different at the end of the day. Okay, we'll get started. If you have my yogaru.ie cards, what you can do is just pick out, I've just picked out 4 different poses, or 5 different poses there to put at the top of my mat, and they're the ones that I'm going to just add in to my Sun Salutations. If you don't have them, what I've suggested in previous tutorials is you start to get yourself a little notebook and write down poses that you're curious to explore yourself, or just you can, most of the poses I have picked up here are in the standing flows, so you can just use the pictures in these 3 standing flows to pick poses that you'd like to work on today. Okay, just to start with, I'm just going to come into a few rounds of cat-cow rather than coming straight into Sun Salutations. But again, you're going to do this as part of your habitual patterns to warm up the body. I would never really start my practice with the Sun Salutation. I would always just do something to wake up the spine, whether it's just coming into side bends, cat-cows, lying on my back and circling on my lower spine, just something just to get a little bit of fluid moving in the body. Okay, so coming up to standing. And into Tadasana. Remembering our foundations for Tadasana, just lifting up all 10 toes, placing them down, pressing into the feet, into the big toe mound, the little toe mound, the centre of the back of the heel. That's the one that we often get light on because we're so forward and facing in the way we approach life. So pull back a little, press into the centre of the back of the heel. Feel those inner arches lifting on your feet, inner muscles of the legs, the whole muscle structure of the legs wrapping around the bone. Hug those outer hips towards the midline. So just take a few moments to pause in your Tadasana. Feel the strength and the ease, so the effort and the ease in the poses. There's a little bit of a play between effort and ease here, where I'm really actively pressing into the ground, but I'm not overly clenching, because clenching is not where we want to be either. We want to be activating the muscles, but not clenching them. Okay, so we'll start with a Sun Salutations and then coming into adding in some standing poses. So inhale, reach the arms up high. Exhale, folding down. I'm going to bend my knees here. Inhale, come up halfway. So strictly speaking, I don't have this part in the top line there of Surrey Namaskara, but it's always one that I add in because it's a good strengthener for the upper back. And I keep my knees bent for this one so that I can reach my knees, press my hands into my knees, and reach my chest forward, and I feel that activating all the muscles along my upper back there. And exhale, folding down. Step your right leg back, the right knee comes down. You can add in a low lunge. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, step the left leg back, coming into downward dog. Inhale, reach forward to plank. Exhale, knees come down, chest and chin. Inhale, slides forward to baby cobra. And exhale, presses you back to downward dog. So you can see there how you can change your Sun Salutation and start to tailor it to your needs, or just keep it simply, the same between your flows. Okay, so we're going to stand the right leg forward to the right side of your mat there, because we're going to come into some high lunges, and we want the feet to be nice and wide rather than the center of the mat, because that's harder to balance. You can use your core to help you come up, or you can place both hands on your knee to help you come up. So here we are, and I've decided to come into a nice high lunge as my standing flow in this particular Sun Salutation. Now I can mix it up, I can start flowing, I can add in twists, I can add in little back bends, or I can just simply do the one pose and then come into the rest of my Sun Salutation. Coming down to the ground, to come back up again, because I need to do the left side of the pose. So step the left leg forward, using the core to come up, or the hands on the knee, reach the arms up. So keep your little standing flows simple, because you want to do the same thing you did on the right side to the left side. We always step the right leg forward first. So what did I do on the other side? I did a bit of this, and maybe I took a twist, maybe I took a back bend, or maybe I just stayed with a simple high lunge and really worked on hugging everything to the midline. And then exhale, folding down. And step back to downward dog. Now you can come through another vinyasa here and then come to the top of your mat, or your left leg was forward there and you just simply step your right leg forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, folding down. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, hands down, midline of prayer position. So that's one Sun Salutation done, where I've added in a standing pose. Okay? So we're going to continue flowing and show you how to stand, or to add another standing flow. So again, you're going to see how this starts to work. I'm literally building little mini flows using the Sun Salutation as the kind of the framework between the start and the end of the mini flow. And this way it kind of helps you to navigate transitioning, because people can get quite flustered about, I'm in this position here, how do I get to the top of my mat, or how do I get into the next pose? We flow through vinyasas to link poses in this particular way. Inhale, reach the arms up high. Exhale, folding down. Inhale, come up halfway. And exhale, right leg back, right knee comes down. And left leg comes back. So that time I didn't take the low lunge. Inhale, reach forward to plank. Exhale, knees come down, chest and chin. Inhale, slide the chest forward. And exhale, pressing back to downward dog. Now this time I'm going to step my right leg forward in the center of the mat, because I'm coming into a pose, a warrior, where the hips are open to the side of the mat. Press right hand on right knee and circle the left arm up and around to find your warrior two. So threading your poses together elegantly will also bring your whole practice together, rather than having it broken into sections, if you jump up and you're not really conscious of how you're moving from pose to pose, you just don't get the meditative flow within your practice. Okay, so do you want to keep it simple, or do you want to add in reverse warrior? Now I'm doing these really fast, but you know, you can either do it with a single breath, coming into a flow, or you take 5 breaths in warrior, or how many breaths you want, 5 breaths in reverse, and maybe 5 breaths in Parasvakanasa. And that's 3 poses now in this standing flow. So you want to either, your next job is to get to the left side. 2 ways to do that. You can either come back down this way and flow through a vinyasa and step the left leg forward to the centre of the mat and come into your warrior on that side, or you don't take the flow, you were in warrior on the right hand side, you just transition to the back of your mat through a goddess or something and flip it this way. So that's an easier way to knit the poses together, is just to flip yourself around so that you're facing towards the back of your mat. And then you take the same poses that you took on the right side, taking a flow with each breath, or holding the poses for a few breaths, mixing it up as much as you want, but doing the same on both sides. Now you need to travel back, and then you're finishing off that Sun Salutation. Inhale to come up halfway, exhale floating down, inhale reach the arms up, exhale hands down midline into Tadasana. Now that's 2 Sun Salutations. You can add a 3rd one in and add a few more poses, or you can just repeat what you've done. There's nothing wrong with repeating the same flow. You're still working through and moving the body and finding new little things every time you come into your pose. Or again, like I said, you can just take a single pose. So I could have come through another Sun Salutation there and simply taken Goddess pose, which is one of my favourite poses, very strengthening for the hips, and then finish off the Sun Salutation. Now you can add in also in between those poses, or at the end of your 3 or 4 standing flows, you can come into your top of the mat poses, let's just call them, like your tree pose or eagle pose. So they're all different things you can add in to your standing flows. But let's just keep it simple for today. So you've got your Sun Salutation. You keep it really simple. You follow the illustrations at the top of that sequence there, or you start to add in these type of things while you're coming down, and then you come into your standing poses. So that's really all I wanted to go through with you today. I am going to, for my next series of tutorials, I'm going to start showing you how to sequence with the cards. So that's more specifically for people who have the cards, but also if you're starting just to build up a notebook of poses, this kind of method of how to build a practice through, you know, kind of, not quite plucking, but, you know, knowing which pose will build towards this particular pose. So that pose has similar hip positions, I'll put that into the warm-up. That pose has similar arm positions, I put that into the warm-up. And that way your muscles are ready for you to take this peak pose. And peak pose building sequences are great ways is a great way to get your head around sequencing, because it kind of really gradually warms your body up with slightly easier poses coming up towards your peak pose. And then your body is really ready for the peak pose, and you can really take time to explore it comfortably. Another way of doing it is to warm the body up and then come into the peak pose 2 or 3 different times and take different versions of it, but we'll save that for another day. So any questions, I'm always happy to answer. If you want to contact me at ruth@yogaru.ie, you will find loads of sequences on my website in the sequence section. So that's www.yogaru.ie/sequences. So there's tons of sequences there. This one in particular is called How to Build a Home Practice, and that's the one that I've been concentrating on for these mini tutorials. And thanks for watching. I hope to see you again.